All right, first day of 2023. 2022 is officially over, and I've noticed something about these channel update videos that go out. They sound very ominous, and the thumbnail is always like this really sad, unsure look to them where you think they're quitting YouTube. My favorite one is MVG's, where he said, I'm done, with the dots on the end. I like that one. That's a good one there. I had to check that out to make sure we didn't lose a member of the Spawncast. And Sean also did one, I think it was moving on. And all I'm doing here is saying goodbye to... yeah, that's a much better title than what I had in mind, which was like channel update number 9 or however many I'm up to now. But essentially, I want to talk a little bit about 2022 and now where I'm heading in 2023, because there has been a pretty big change behind the scenes that's really been planned, I would say, over the last several months now. And it has to do with sort of the setup I had, which was in an office building. Really, really cool experience there, as I got to essentially have a specific place of work and setup over the last couple of years now. But the more I looked at it, the more I realized it became unnecessary. And a lot of this had to do with what happened months after I signed for that office building. And that had, obviously, with COVID, the lockdowns. Yeah, I am one of the people that signed a multi-year lease for an office a couple months away from when the lockdowns and all of this started happening, which threw a bit of a wrench into the situation, some of the plans I had, which were mostly around the idea of building up different sets and trying to lean into upping the production value and all of these different things. But it did include bringing more and more people in to actually be in the office, which, yeah, was a bit rough there for a while because, well, everyone kind of had to stay home for the most part, at least in my area, like the tri-state area here. It was rough all over the place, obviously, here, right? And now it seems like we're more normalizing, I guess. Still hard to say exactly all around the world, but at least where I am, it's feeling more and more like it was in 2019 or whatever. But I started considering the idea of saying goodbye to the office and essentially working more from home. And things, of course, had to shift a bit because we had our third child, which means we needed a larger house. We had been in our starter home for over a decade, and we started to outgrow that house. So I did move this past year and ended up moving into a house that we didn't necessarily walk right into, and we were already completely outgrown from it, which the starter house, we didn't necessarily have that situation. It was just over time, but I decided, look, we'll get a house that we can essentially, hopefully, not have to move away from again down the road because we feel like it's become too small and we've outgrown it. So that was my strategy there. But then also I figured, you know what, if we move into a house that has a large area that I can dedicate to YouTube, it would be good to be able to work from home because that was basically becoming the norm anyway, and it is a major benefit. And if people out there can get that benefit for their jobs, which seems to be a big thing that is being pushed now, is the idea of remote work or work from home. It's significantly more convenient now with 3 kids here in the family. I thought, you know what? If I can find a house that has a large enough area, I would not re-up the lease with the office and kind of move back in. And I have actually done that. I've returned to the gamer's natural habitat, which is the basement. And the basement here is much larger than my old basement, or even it's actually larger than the office I was originally in. The reason I'm really bringing this up, though, is because it's taking some getting used to when it comes to video and sound. Sound is the biggest one. That's the thing I'm concerned about the most. And I've been working to set up sound deadening, sound proofing, anything I can to kill reverb or any of that so that it's a more pleasant experience outside of just the tone of my voice when it comes to echo or any of that. I think it's still going to be kind of present early on. So that's one of the reasons I wanted to let you know, since the news wave quality may degrade slightly in terms of the presentation with the sound. I think video should be about right, because I had my lighting basically locked in for green screen effects and all of this. Now, the other thing that actually was affected by the transition and the move from the office to the new location now was the second channel. It became very sporadic, and for a while I was trying to get the second channel to a position where I was doing a video every day there, one that would lean into more conversation around a singular topic. And I also considered doing things that were a little outside of just gaming, maybe things with movies or other bits of pop culture, but not really getting outside of the entertainment aspect. I talked a bit about Twitter because that was somewhat interesting, from the idea of it, yes, being purchased, but also it trying to transition into a more welcoming business environment for creators. And I'm still curious how that'll end up turning out. But for the most part, gaming, TV or streaming shows now, I guess, and movies and technology, that's sort of what I want to trend towards with that second channel. And then the other aspect comes down to TechWave. One of the biggest reasons I wanted to get an overall office setup where I can leave things in place, big sets, all these different things, right? I had been building walls even in anticipation of getting things set up and being able to do higher quality TechWave episodes, because I do enjoy doing TechWave videos. I think it's a lot of fun. I think being able to deep dive into the internals of components, and then also at times talk about the history of the things and even some of my personal experiences around repairing these different devices. It's a blast. And to be honest, some of them people just continuously watch going forward. So there is the thought process of I do a lot of new stuff that can be on the spot, but it's more short term. I like building up a library of TechWave that can be viewed years from now even, and that people get genuine enjoyment and can actually be a good source of just information. I've had many people say that they were able to fix a system or they were able to modify one after hearing about some of my experiences, or just going through the steps as I try to do it myself. So part of the area that I'm working out of now has essentially been dedicated to building around TechWave, and that's one of the biggest things I'm most excited for with the focus going into 2023. Newswave will continue on. My other videos where I'm doing talking segments, even from this room, will continue on, and that TechWave will become a higher quality experience as we go along. So I'm excited for 2023 and the possibilities going forward. And the idea of, yes, being able to spend more time at home with the family and all this is great as well. So yeah, a bit of a, I guess, dramatic title and thumbnail for it, but from what I can see, it at least gets people attention so that they don't then ask me about why there's a little bit of echo in the background or what's going on here. I feel like I've gone through it well enough in hopefully a quick enough amount of time. And last but not least, absolutely have to thank everyone out there who's been watching, who's been subscribing, liking the videos, leaving comments, good or bad, either way. And I know the things like the Spawncast, the comments there can get all over the place, but I think above all else, we appreciate that people care enough to interact and engage with the different conversations that we have there. So big shout out to everyone out there who's been supporting, following the channel, and all this. Couldn't do any of this without you guys, and I'm very excited for the new year, 2023. Looking forward to putting some videos together and seeing what we have in store for gaming news going forward. Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.